that's why we picked 8. But we'll see. This is a trial and error. We're trial and error and all this stuff while we're going. So,
yeah.
All right, boys, let's lock in. Put your phones down. If you have any distractions by you, give us. We're going to want about a half an hour here today. Okay. We're fortunate enough to have Coach Dave Payton on with us today, and not only is Dave one of my best friends, but we've coached together now for I don't know. I think this is our 5th or 6th year together. I've learned so much from him. He's had 3 boys go through the Sparks program. He's had so many experiences when it comes to helping players reach their maximum potential, help their players become the best version of themselves, and he's helped a ton of players play college baseball, fulfill a dream of theirs. So Coach Payton, I know, has got plenty of really valuable information from a youth level, from a high school level, so make sure we lock in. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here, Coach.
Yep. And then, as you could see, my board, Life Lessons with Coach Payton, and that's kind of a surreal comment because I even felt like when I was coaching with him, he was always trying to coach me and teach me, and there was always things going on. So when I mean that there were life lessons daily, that's what he makes everyone better, which is, those are the people that you want to be around. That's the teammate you strive to be. That's the person you strive to be. And we're going to hit some of these points home, and we're going to have Coach kind of elaborate on them. But first big board point today, the Sparks brand. And I know that's near and dear to Coach Payton's heart because he basically founded the Sparks, and this was a long time ago. Coach, how many years ago? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Yeah, so I want to correct you. I really didn't found the Sparks. They were around for about 10 years before I got to them. But when I joined them, if you can imagine, there were only 3 teams.
Okay.
So at that time, there was like a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 17-year-old team. So it was kind of like founded by a group of parents that wanted more than recreational league baseball, and they kind of brought a couple of groups up, and I joined them with a 10-year-old team at that time. We didn't travel at 8 or at 9 years old, but joined the program in 1999 with a 10-year-old team. So I really didn't found it, but kind of took it over from that point. Beginning in 2000, started running the program.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I know that and this is the message that I'm trying to get across to you guys, okay, that brand means a lot to Coach Payton, and it should mean a lot to you. But when the first thing that comes to mind when, we've competed for the Sparks for so long, it's just the toughness. It's the competitiveness. It's we're not going to back down, and we're going to go about our business the right way. We're not out here to show anyone up. We're not out here to embarrass you. But at the same regard, we are going to compete with anyone in the country, and we're not going to back down from anyone. So, Coach, talk about what that brand means to you, and talk about what that brand should mean to the guys that are listening today.
Okay. So, kind of in the same vein that when I joined the program, the main 3 guys that I took the program over from the coaches, Jim Helfert was the founding father of the Sparks. He was actually in the one of the Twin Towers in New York that got hit on 9/11.
Really?
He survived because he was only on the 3rd floor, so he was able to get out. But Jim was really a bright guy and had a passion, and they put, he put 7 or 8 or 10, well, he actually put 10 years into the program before I joined it. So as he was getting ready to move on from the program, I could see how much passion he had. And I looked at it as it was my job to take what he had and make the program better. I want to assure everybody I didn't not even come close to doing that all alone. It took a community of adults and coaches and players to take the program from when I started with it to getting it where it is today. But you talk about, there is a tremendous pride in our program that we can strap up with anybody across the country, and they're going to respect who the Sparks are. We can play with any program in the country. I don't care if they're from California, Florida, Arizona. They're going to know they're in a game when they play the Sparks.
And again, like, when at the end of the day, when we compete, doesn't matter what age level, we've been into battle with, we got some of our younger teams traveling all over the country now. And I think, 10 years ago, that wasn't really relevant, but we've created a name that's known nationally, that we're getting some respect. And I think that's kind of trickling down with, the colleges that may be looking at our players and recruiting our players. But at the end of the day, there's some pride, and there should be pride. And it's not just I'm on the Sparks team and I'm putting on the Sparks jersey, so, I'm entitled, or whatever the case is you got to go out and earn it. You got to go out and prove it. And that's on a daily basis, not one weekend, not 1 year. There's a consistent expectation that if you want to be a consistent baseball player, a winning baseball player, that you got to bring some consistency with your game. And that also goes, with the Sparks jersey, that you're not entitled, you're not good, that doesn't mean you're a Division I baseball player if you make a Sparks team. It doesn't. But at the end of the day, if you have the right skill set and you work hard enough and you buy into the culture at the Dome, that you're going to have every opportunity to prove that you belong at, that level, or whatever the case is. So, we can't take that for granted. And at the end of the day, there's got to be a sense of pride when you wear that out there. And there's obviously a lot of good players that came before you, and there's going to be a lot of good players after you. So you're just part of the program, which is, kind of flows right into our next point, being part of the thing, or being a great teammate. All right. I wrote on the board, being a great teammate is hard. Okay. It is hard to be a great teammate. And this is something that Coach Payton has stressed, and that I got from him, where his messages always to the team were not necessarily X's and O's baseball related. It was more, doing what's right for your team or for your teammates, as opposed to doing what's right for yourself. So at the end of the day, hold on, hang on one second. I don't know what's going on here.
Nap, did I do that? I didn't touch anything.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, but yeah, I need to get out of. I don't know who Parker 10. Is that better? Nope. Let's there. I think we got it.
No.
No. Are we good?
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
So sorry about that, guys. At the end of the day, there's an art to being a great teammate. Putting yourself, putting your teammates first. Like, I'll give you one of my a good example where, at the end of the day, when things aren't going right for your team, let's say on a Sunday, championship Sunday, semifinal game, and one of your teammates makes an error that costs you the game, okay? There's less than 10% guys on this call right now that would pick that guy up, because it's not easy to do that. It's easy to be mad. It's easy to be mad at that person. It's easy to, blame that your teammate and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, that's why I put being a great teammate is hard, because it's not about your performance. It's about how you pick your guys up when things are not going well. Telling the coach, like, hey, maybe you could sit me down today and play him, or whatever the case is. Coach, talk about, in your eyes and your experiences, what a great teammate is, maybe some examples, and, in your eyes, how these kids should strive to be a great teammate, because I think that's really, really important. And also talk about the college coaches, the questions that they ask you in accordance to this too.
Okay, well, I'll just give you a little bit on what I think a good teammate is. And this goes on many different levels, guys. First and foremost, we all know how tough, especially as you get into high school and move into college, the game of baseball is. If you're a hitter, you're gonna maybe get a hit, and you might strike out 3 times. Every once in a while you have a good day. A great teammate is a consistent model of respect to his other teammates. Okay, so it's easy to be a great teammate when you go 3 for 4. It's easy to be a great teammate when you go 4 for 4. Okay, what do you do when you go 0 for 4 on multiple days in a row? How can I be a great teammate? And that is really the consistency with how your actions, everything that you do on the field should lift other teammates up, should lift your team up, and should not detract from your team. So because you're having a poor time having success on the field, you should not bring that stress onto any of your other teammates. You should basically be the same guy on a day in, day out basis, no matter how your performance is on the field. Now, I'm going to be the first to tell you that was tough. When I was a kid, I was a crier. I probably cried up until I stopped. I think I was able to stop at 12 years old. And I wanted to fight anybody and everybody when I didn't win. So I was a poor loser. And I think that's one of the reasons it's become so important to me. And I think any parent that's on this call is going to understand that things that you failed at as a child become really important, because you don't want your children or people associated with you to fail at that. So I just think it's really important to have a consistent demeanor, meaning, I'm going to be able to smile with my teammates. I'm going to pat a guy on the back when he needs it. I'm going to be happy for another guy if he hits a home run and I don't. And I'm going to try to honestly feel that in my heart, because we as athletes always have a feeling that when another player does something good, that detracts from my performance. Maybe they're getting the credibility, the light shining on them today. How can you possibly be happy for that guy if you're not getting that credit? And I think a great teammate finds a way to truly be happy for his teammates, okay, when things are going well for them, and does that as a knock on himself, okay? And I think if you can do that, and you can hold yourself accountable and try to train yourself to honestly feel that. This is not easy to do, guys. This is a learned characteristic. You have to practice this, just like taking ground balls. How am I going to be happy for my other teammates when they do well? How am I going to make sure that if somebody struggles, I'm the guy that pats him on the back? I'm the guy that goes and hangs out with him at night. I'm the guy that goes and, gives him 5 at dinner and say, hey, man, forget about today. We're going to go get him tomorrow. I don't care what the results of your game were. There is never a single game you're going to play as a Sparks player that's more important than being a great person or being a great teammate. Nothing ever gives you the excuse for not being at your best behavior. Okay, with that. As far as the college coach,
go ahead, Coach.
well, as far as the college coaches, to expound upon that, I think, you know, if you ever, for our older guys, if you play in front of a college coach and they see you go 4 for 4, that might pique their interest, but they know you're not going to go 4 for 4 every day. So they're going to really want to see what you do when you go 0 for 4. And they're going to watch how you trace your steps back to the dugout. Okay. And as I watch guys, I try to watch them, you know, if I'm a college coach, and I'm sure Coach Knapczyk has spoken about this before, but if I'm a college coach looking at a Sparks player, I'm going to, and the Sparks team's in the third base dugout, I'm going to go perch myself on the first base side. I'm going to keep my eye on that player. I'm going to see if he's patting other teammates on the back, you know, when they come into the dugout. I'm going to see if he high fives them when they get a hit. I'm going to just see how he handles himself. I'm also going to watch how he handles himself when he makes an out. Does he sit on the bench and mope and not engage his other teammates? Is he different? And when you do that, you know what? You're not hiding in the dugout, guys, because anybody that's going to be interested in you to play in their program as you get older, they're going to find that out. They're going to ask the coaches that are around you. They may ask your teammates. They're going to ask your high school coaches, and they're going to watch for themselves. So this is the standard that you need to learn. The earlier you can start building the skill and expect yourself to be a great teammate and treat your teammates with respect, I think that will go a long way into making you a better player and reach your fullest potential.
Yeah, really. And the one thing that really hit home there was, guys, it's a learned characteristic. We have to turn our brains on. Naturally, we want to, like I said, it's hard, okay? Because as Coach talked about, the spotlight isn't on you. The spotlight's on them. And you got to find a way for that to be your own happiness, okay? And you got to find a way for you to train yourself mentally to be a great teammate and to, understand that everyone's going to have great days. Everyone's going to have not so great days. But when it's someone else's turn to have their great day, that's got to be exciting for you. That's got to be motivating for you. And that's got to uplift you to be so happy for that kid and your teammate that maybe it sparks your game a little bit on a down day, which I feel like it can do. And I've been a part of teams before where maybe the kid that, doesn't always get a couple hits, maybe he gets the game-winning hit. And in those instances, the dugout just absolutely erupts because, on great teams, those guys know that kid works just as hard as everyone else, but he might not get a great same result. But when that light shines on him and you got a great dugout, boy, that made that kid's day. It might have made that kid's year, might have made that kid's career. I'll never forget that, okay? So you got to understand that different players are at different situations, and you got to be there to hug them when they don't do well, and you got to be there to spray the water on them and jump on them when it's their day. Really good stuff. That kind of flows right into, the point number 3 I got on the board. This is more about life, not about baseball. And if you really think about that, that's kind of what we just hit home with, right? Whether you're involved in different sports or just baseball, we both can tell you that your attitude and your energy and your ability to be open to ideas will only help you in your workplace, will only help you in college, will only help you succeed for your company that you work for someday, okay? Your ability to be a great teammate will carry with you in anything that you do, not just baseball, right? And there's going to be days in your when you're older, you're going to have good days. There's going to be days when you have bad days. There's going to be days where you're going to have to work with 4 or 5 people that you're going to have to be able to problem solve and listen, and you're going to have to be able to communicate properly, okay? And at the end of the day, what Coach, when we talked before the call, the biggest thing that he hit home with is that there's so many different lessons to take out of this game. Adversity, failure, the highs and lows and how to stay in between, being a great teammate, having high character. All those qualities are only going to help you when you become an adult, okay? Coach, touch on this a little bit, and at the end of the day, tell them in all of your experiences what this game has taught you in the real world and the kids that you've coached.
Okay. So, yeah, I want to start by talking about what, the life characteristics. And we're seeing that, guys, with a lot of the protests that are going on in the country right now. And it's because people of color don't feel respected in our country. And I think part of being a great teammate, being a great person, is listening to what they're having to say here, okay? And I think that's really important information, okay? I talk about respect a lot, okay? To me, that's the founding part and the most important characteristics of what the Sparks are about. It's about respecting the game, okay? This is a game that is very difficult, okay? Respecting the game to me means don't take a pitch off, okay? It means just what we talked about, being a great teammate. It's not about going on the bench and turning your back on any pitch in the game so you can get a drink of water so that mom and dad can come up behind the fence and tell you what you're doing. Your eyes should be on every pitch. So it's about making sure that you hustle out every ball. It's about making sure that you back up every play. It's about making sure that you go through the processes that Coach has been talking about in all of your meetings. I mean, it is about expecting the highest standard of yourself to be ready to play. So that's respecting the game. You need to respect your teammates. We talked about that already. You need to respect your opponents. I've never in my 20 years with the Sparks allowed our kids to trash talk. That is just not acceptable. That can become a way, and guys do that in high school baseball, and it's filtering down. But my preference is to kill you with kindness. Kill you with kindness, but just kill you. Like, we want to beat your ass. And that is really that we don't need to talk about it. We're just going to do it. I want to respect umpires, okay? If that umpire has a zone that's a foot outside, then I'm going to stand on the plate. I am not going to go back to the dugout with an excuse because that umpire called me out. I'm not going to listen to the fans behind home plate complaining that the pitch was off the plate. I'm going to be accountable to myself. So I think those are lessons. I'm going to respect the opponent's fans when they can't be respectful themselves, not going to engage anybody else in anything that's not positive on the field. With that being said, I'm going to smile at everybody and be as nice as I can to everybody, and then we're going to get after them. And we're going to do it at the very highest level that we can possibly do it. So, to me, that's living life, guys. Any guy that would be on this call, I don't care if you are 7 years old. If I walk by you in the dome, I'm going to find a way to make eye contact with you and nod my head at you. It's with great pride that I see kids walking around with Sparks jerseys. Whether not even at the dome, but if I see them out in public, I'm going to nod my head at them. But I'm also going to do that to anybody that I see. That is what's, I think really missing in our world is holding yourself to the highest standard of being a person, right? It doesn't take a lot of effort to nod your head at somebody, to say hi to somebody. I know life's going to change a little bit. We're not going to shake everybody's hand with the virus going around, but we've got to find a way to acknowledge people and care about people. And Coach hit on this earlier about, you're going to eventually go to work. If there's one guy on this call, maybe one guy on this call that's going to get to play in the big leagues, and maybe hopefully make enough money so he doesn't have to work, he's still going to have to learn how to deal with teammates right now. If you guys, if you can see everything that's going on in our world, Drew Brees, one of the very most respected players in the NFL, came out on social media, said something about disrespecting the flag yesterday, that he will never agree to anybody disrespecting the flag, kneeling during the anthem. And he got a ton of backlash even from his teammates. And there's probably no better teammate around than Drew Brees. But, I mean, you've got to really be careful with the things you say in life to understand that they can really hurt and pierce people. And this is what life's about. So all the things that we're learning on the field, and we talk about, respecting others, these are the things that you're going to have to go through in life. And it's about doing the things, all these things when nobody's looking, not being a guy that only does it when the lights are on. It's easy to be a great guy when the lights are on you. To me, it is all about doing it all the time, being a great person, not allowing yourself to take shortcuts in anything you can do. And that's one of the things I'm proudest of my way. And Coach Knapp, I'll even let you talk about this, but when you, through the years, how many kind of talks have we had about how important it is to win a tournament? And I will promise you that, I've had to guide Coach into throttling down his competitiveness to win by always putting the best players in the best spot, but more importantly, doing what was right for everybody on the team, everybody in the program, to challenge ourselves to overcome any adversity that I put in because I refused to take a shortcut to win a game. We weren't going to throw a pitcher too many pitches. And, Coach Knapp's son, Christian's one of the best players that our program has seen. And, beginning at 14 years old, he used to sit games. All of our players that came up with our team sat games. And that is, you need to learn how to sit and be supportive of your teammates, because you need to understand that you're going to play a lot of baseball in our program. There's no one game or two games or 5 games that are going to really mean that much to your career here. It's about doing everything right on a common basis. That's the same thing that applies to life, so that you can become great fathers. When it's your time, you can become great sons. You can become great people in the community, because it does take, which is like we have the Sparks community here, but it takes a community to raise children. My children who I try to raise, I don't always give them the best examples. I'm not perfect as a parent, but when I fall, I've got guys like Coach Knapp around me, and all the other Coach Kopp and Coach Haza and all the different people that I've been around. When I failed, I had other people around to pick me up and make me better. And that's what teammates are all about, right? We already talked about that.
No, it's Coach, it's really, out of everything that we've worked together for, and like, it's 100% correct that you need to learn how to be a great teammate on the bench. And I would not have learned that before we got together. But at the end of the day, there's so much value when you can put your personal pride aside and do what's best for everyone else. There's some satisfaction there, like we talked the other day. When it's winter out, you just go and shovel your neighbor's driveway. Don't even ask for money. Don't even take money. Just do it, and you'll feel better walking back to your house knowing that somebody's going to walk outside and feel pretty good about themselves because somebody did a nice gesture, right? Really, really good stuff there. Coach, I want you to close on a little bit more baseball, on the little bit more baseball side of things. Over the years, when we've been in dugouts together and we've seen guys, you have just such a really good eye for picking out baseball players, really good baseball players. If they're 10, 11, 12, you have a really, really good eye for saying, wow, that kid has a potential to be a guy, or, you know, like you really, really like what he does and this, that, and the other. I want you to tell the kids on this call what that, like, what, not what exactly you look for, but like what separates players for you? What besides the just the blatant, all right, he throws 100 miles an hour. Well, everyone can see that, but you see things a little bit differently. You might pick one or two things out that this kid did during the game that no one else saw with his skill set. You're like, that guy's going to be a guy. You know, tell these kids, give them some of your insight on that, because I feel like it's really, really valuable for these kids. Thank you.
Yeah. I really think, you know, if you, one of the greatest things, guys, that you have in coming through our program with the Sparks is you'll have players, no, I'm all right. You'll have players from, you know, 9 to 18 working out in the dome. You'll see professional players working out in the dome, and you should try, especially as younger players, to emulate the actions of those players. Okay. And, you know, I think there's a certain gait or a certain way that a guy carries himself that is so easy to see for people that pay attention to baseball. It could be the way the guy picks up the ground ball. So if I was in our program right now, if I was wanting to watch guys pick up a ball, I'd be watching, you know, Christian Knapczyk. I'd be watching Cal Hayes. I'd be watching Brandon Camilla go to the dome. And I, you know, and not to take anything away from some of our 2021s that are coming up through the next group, but I want to watch those guys and watch what separates them. I want to watch the quick transfer that Cal Hayes has. I want to watch the bounciness that Christian Knapczyk has. I want to watch the consistency that Brandon Camilla plays with. How do they approach the ball? You can just tell they've taken so many balls in their life that the actions are rather simple to them. Sometimes I look at a guy's swing and I'm able to just see a little extra in his bat speed. You know, visually you can see that, you know, that bat speed, or you can see that a player's got a real, he's got quick twitch in his system. Guys, a lot of that can be learned. Okay. And I'll take a couple minutes. I've been really fortunate to have 3 players, you know, 3 sons come through this program, and all 3 of them are going to move on and play college baseball. My oldest, Mark, played at Texas. He was always, you know, he played up through his entire career, always one of the best kids on his team. You know, not always the best player, but always able to hang in the top couple guys. When it came time for his pretty easy. My son, Troy, who came through the program, was not what you would call an elite player. He was he was a play down, and more of not a play down because we wanted him to be the best player on the team. He was a play down because that's where he belonged. And it wasn't that important for me to coach the top team. As his dad, I just wanted to coach. I wanted to coach him where he fit in. So he played down, and it would be really tough. I mean, he struggled early in his Sparks career, even playing catch. You know, it was tough for him to catch the baseball at 9 years old. You know, and I remember every year he'd tell me, you know, I want to play with my age group. I want to play with my age group. And I just kept challenging him to get better. And then, you know, by the time he was done with high school, he was moving on to play Division II baseball. And I thought that was about as good as he could have done at the level that he could have played at. And then now I've obviously got Jack, who's just finishing up, and he'll move on and get a chance to play at the Division I level. So my point is your goal should be to emulate the players that are older than you in our program. Pick the highest standard that you can pick, guys. There's always going to be guys in our program. And for all the older kids on this call, it is your duty to take the time to show the younger guys the way. It's always easy to walk by and big time the younger guys, but it could mean something so big to just pat a guy on the back. You know, if you see a 10-year-old taking nice swings, to really, you try to lift that kid up, or maybe give him a pointer to just keep going what all those that have come before you have built in our program. Okay. So I just think it's easy to see guys that are working at this game, because if you work hard enough at it and you try to emulate those are going to the Division I schools, those are playing professional baseball. If you try to emulate those guys, not their batting stance, guys, not the way they wear their uniform. Don't worry about that. Not their hairdo, the way they wear their hat. Watch the substance of how they walk around, the quick steps they take. Okay, that's really important for a baseball player, to walk with quick steps. When you're going to the plate, you can either drag the bat to the plate, or you could walk up there like you want something, like someone was going to give you $1 million and you're ready to compete. Okay, those are the things that I look for.
Yeah, and again, there's a lot of kind of good value there about understanding that, you know, in my opinion, that's why the Sparks have been so successful, is because there's been a hierarchy. And if you're the older guys now, you need to lead. If you're the younger guys, you got to keep climbing, and you got to keep working. But at the end of the day, you know, we talked about this last week. The current state of our country right now, we got to be leaders, and we don't need to be, you know, the type that goes on the social media and is vocal. You just need to be kind to each other, pick each other up, do something nice. All that stuff will carry over, and that will multiply, and it'll keep multiplying. But if you do nothing, okay, it's just like you're part of the problem then. So leaders got to lead. We have to lead. I don't care what age you are. I don't care whatever. All you have to do to lead is do something nice for someone. Say hello, wave hello, whatever. Hold the door open. If you see your neighbor struggling with something, go over there and help them out. All that stuff multiplies, and then we'll have hopefully someday a better situation for overall of our country. But at the end of the day, you got to remember, we only can control what we can control. And the only thing you can control is your attitude, your energy level right now, and how you're going to make a difference from somebody else. Whether that's in the dome, telling a 10-year-old he's got a nice swing, giving some guy knucks that maybe you wouldn't said hi to, or going to help your neighbor out. All right? That's how we're going to get this thing turned around, not the social media way and all the bad stuff that's going on. I don't even focus on that. I haven't looked at my phone but twice today. Couldn't tell you what's going on. Couldn't tell where there's protesters. Couldn't tell you where there's riots because I'm in my bubble and I'm taking care of my self-control and what I can control, being kind to the people that are around me. If everyone would just start focusing there, I think we're on to something. Does that make sense? Coach, close these kids out with something before we get off the call.
One of the most important things, guys, that I always tell our kids is win ties. Win ties. So as a human being, as a baseball player, win ties. The difference between a Division I player and a Division III player is not near as large as you think it is. It really isn't. So all the things we talked about today are really, they're all the little things that turn into the big team things. Okay. So when it comes down and a coach has to make a determination of who's he going to play, he's going to play the guy he trusts because one guy backed up to play 100% of the time. One guy backed up to play 90% of the time. I'm always going to choose the guy that backs it up 100% of the time. I'm going to always choose the best teammate. Okay, I'm not going to allow myself to take the easy way out and always choose the guy that I think gives us the most upside. I want consistency. I want guys that are going to win ties. That's really important. Everything we talked about today separates you. And that's not only on the field, okay? That's in your neighborhood. That's with your friends. That's doing something for your parents. That's for any of your friends. Just win ties because you really don't know. You don't know everybody. There's nobody in this group, guys, that has a perfect family life. Okay, but I don't know what's going on in all your lives. So me saying hi or doing something nice for you might really save your day. To me, that's what being a Spark is all about, holding ourselves to a standard that no other organization that cares about going to. We want to be that organization that is the best at everything. We want to hustle hardest. We want to know our relays. We want to know our signs. We want to have the best mechanics. But most importantly, we want to be the best behaved. I mean, that is really important. You are going to win a ton. You're going to lose a ton, okay? But we've got to conduct ourselves with the same class, whether we win or lose, okay? So win ties, guys. Find a way to win ties because at some point you're going to be fighting for a job, okay? Whether it's to make a certain Sparks team, okay? Whether it's to be picked up to go to college, whether your high school coach has to put you in the lineup or not, okay? Whether you're going for a job, you have to find a way to win ties.
That's good. Good. All right, boys. Hey, lead in a good way. We're going once a week. So we'll go every Wednesday now because you guys are rolling at the Dome. You guys are rolling with the practices. We're going once a week. It's going to be kind of a checkup from the neck up. I'm going to reset you guys. If you had a good weekend, if you had a bad weekend, rolling into your next tournament or whatever, just going to reset you guys to make sure you guys are minds right, elite mindset going in. But, Coach, thanks for coming. Everyone give Coach 2 thumbs up. And, hey, stay working, stay the process. But, hey, 2 things. Win ties, leaders lead, baby. All right? We'll see you guys. Thanks, Coach, so much.
Good night, guys.